I started out my career as a hacker. So I didn't even have a formal education in programming or technology, and then ultimately I ended up running a tech company. So I like playing with things. I like tinkering. I like figuring things out. So with farming too, my interest was kindled. Once I exited my company, I was spending a lot of time in the public library, and I was reading about solar energy, water harvesting, sustainable living, and this one book caught my eye. It was Gardening Without Work by Ruth Stout. And so that's what got me interested, and she made it sound so easy. And then it was just a rabbit hole of just talking to people, YouTube videos, and just doing it and seeing what works. This is Gaant gobi. I don't know the English word for it, but this is in the same family as cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, and this is what we're gonna have for dinner today. Once I decided that I want to lower the amount of suffering my existence causes, I decided that I want to grow my own food. So there are no chemicals being used, the food's being grown non-violently, and there is no transportation involved. So we just take the heads because this is gonna keep producing baby broccolis that we can, put in sabji. This was really horrible soil here because this was just an abandoned garbage patch, and there was some corn being grown chemically before we started organic farming here. Once we divided our farm in these beds, we put a layer of manure on it, and then we started mulching. So we had these bamboo leaves, mango leaves, grass clippings, all the weeds. When we pull out weeds, a lot of weeds we cut, a lot of weeds we pull out, and once they just kind of are died down, because we just lay them in these gutters that we use for irrigation and walking, so they just kind of die, and then eventually when they're all dead and dry and decaying, we put it on top of the soil. What I've seen is, of course, it helps soil retain its moisture because it's not letting the sunlight hit the soil, but it also has encouraged a lot of earthworm activity, and especially like when we run out of leaves, we use cardboard. So we just lay down cardboard and we punch holes in it, and then we plant things. Underneath the cardboard, you see a lot of fungal activity, and from what I've read, it's really good for your soil. We kill a much fewer number of earthworms and other insects than you would in conventional farming. Then also, since the soil food web is intact, the nutrition cycle stays intact, and we don't have to add any nutrition, like any fertilizers from outside. I like working with hands anyway. That way I don't kill as many earthworms. So what I'm doing is just sifting the compost to take out any plastic that has accidentally made it here, and then just kind of just forming some rows and putting arugula seeds in here. This is the first time I'm planting arugula. I just got these seeds from my friend Anshul, who runs Shunya Farm in Bir. So this is a vine, like this is ridge gourd, and we had left this for seed, and we also use this for loofah. So this bitter gourd we had left on the vine to ripen, and it just got too ripe and exploded. So now I have to collect all the seeds. They're very pretty seeds. I don't know if you can see. And so we have to wash these seeds, sun dry them, and then we will put them in a bottle with some ash for the next season.
So when I got into growing food, it was primarily to lower my suffering footprint. But as I got more into it, I got a taste for self-sufficiency. It empowered me. Then I realized there is no true freedom if you rely on a big company or market for your seeds. So that's why I got into seed saving, and the more I looked into it, the sadder it made that everybody is relying on market bought seeds. A lot of varieties are being lost.
We are growing things which last us for more than just the season too. So for like garlic, onion, potatoes, pumpkins, all of these we can make it last for 6 months. So pretty much year round we have our own veggies, and now we are focusing more and more towards saving seeds. I mean, we plant a lot more than we need seed wise. So we leave a lot more to go to seed because birds take at least half of what we leave.
When you actually see people working here at the farm in the garden, in growing their own food, then you see how much work it takes. Like that was my experience initially when I saw rice growing here. It's really back-breaking. It needs your attention. It needs a lot of care. And I started respecting food even more when I saw that.
We are going to go buy paddy from Daulat Ram. What we do is we buy paddy, get it milled ourselves every month, like a little bit, and we don't get it polished. That way we get brown rice. Brown rice is basically rice, white rice with bran intact, and we don't we get it in little batches so it doesn't get moldy. And Daulat Ram luckily has not used any weed killer, so that's pretty good. We grow our own wheat, but rice we don't grow, and we always buy locally, and we always get non-organic rice. But this time we lucked out and we've got some good rice, and hopefully it will last us for the whole year. Namaste ji, kaise ho? Daulat Ram works with us. He's one of our animal handlers. He's also a driver. He also talks to the animals. He's been with us since a lot of years, since even before we started this place. चल रहा है तू साथ? रास्ते में थक गया तो उठा लिया। अच्छा सर पे आसान रहेगा यार ये। तो ये तो मेरा सर पे रखवा देते। तुम तो बड़े चालू हो। चलो कोई बात नहीं।
This is our local mill in Dhanotu village, and when we moved to Dhanotu, we used to come here to get the flour milled, oil milled and rock salt milled. And the reason behind this was that it's whatever we bring into this mill is in its raw form, so it's healthy and it's completely adulteration free.
So this is my basement. This year round it stays around 23 degrees Celsius. So we have been using it for growing mushrooms. Every year after monsoons, that's like after the end of August, we get these bags from the university. It already has a prepared medium, and they also give us spawns, which are these which wheat inoculated with the spores for these white button mushrooms. We get to eat tasty tempura tonight. Look at the size of these, and this is not even the biggest one. Look at these guys.
Whatever we consume, it has to be produced somewhere, and every act of production requires someone to suffer somewhere. Sometimes it won't be, most times it won't be evident, but if you look closely, you will find that suffering. So you can easily say that every act of consumption has a suffering footprint. So yeah, we can't stop consuming altogether, but we can get mindful about our consumption, and we can choose to consume things which have a lower suffering footprint than a higher one.